IQ in this city is mind-blowing. And look at how they're coming at us. I implore that other people, when you get to the point where you've exhausted all of your administrative means to protest and they keep denying you and dismissing you in bulldozer governance, in our neighborhoods, I implore you to do what I'm doing. Exhaust every means. Okay? Justice should not rely on money. Okay? And I hope the judges see this on the evening news. Because we deserve, I ain't no attorney. I got ChatGPT though. And what ChatGPT is telling me is that I need to fight, that there's some shady stuff going on. In this room, the networking power that's just in this little room alone with these cell phones. Are you kidding me? This is a grassroots movement. They can't time. They can't measure. They can dismiss it to their peril in November. We need to get all the people in your sphere of influence, get on the phone with them. Get them to do the same thing you're doing all the way to November. Please join up with us, San Diego United Communities. We cannot fight them on our own, one-on-one. We've got to do it collectively. I wish there was more color in this room. Next time I want to see something, I can do something about that. Because this is a city fight. This Midway Rising thing is ridiculous. Preliminary estimates is that it'll add anywhere from a half hour to 45-minute delay in access to the beach. Yep. Why would we do that? Not to mention the emergency evacuation needs, because if there's a major event there, it's chaos. All we got is the 5 and the 8 right. It's chaos. This is a money-making grab for a bunch of developers and people, and we've got to stand up to it in November. So right now we have a GoFundMe, King Key, Radio Tower, Legal Defense Fund. And I got a QR code for y'all. Okay? This is going to send a signal to the city council. Right now we got 4 of them. We got 4 bad spark plugs that need to be changed out. We need to change it out in November.
Kenny is a big inspiration to our group and to the community. Thank you, Kenny. Keep fighting the good fight. All right, our next speaker brings a broad range of experience to the conversation about San Diego's future. He has been standing with us since day one, and that's why he's sitting on the panel here. He is a lifelong San Diegan small business owner, educator, former reserve police officer, and candidate for San Diego City Council. He will share his perspectives today, not so much for his candidacy, but why it's important to stand together and tackle those votes in November.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And thank you very much for allowing me to speak here. And as everybody, it was hard to find parking. And thank you, Pam. Because one of the first things I want to do is change that requirement for no parking when building apartment complexes in residential neighborhoods. That has to come to a stop. That's just unbelievable. Let me tell you a little bit about myself. Who is Mark Powell? So I'm born and raised in San Diego. I am the son of immigrants, actually refugees, who were forced to leave the Middle East because of religious persecution. And ironically, in 1956, they had to spend 2 years in refugee status in all of places Ethiopia. And America was gracious enough to let my family in. 1959, my family moved to San Diego. We made San Diego our home. I was born in 1961. I've seen the city change, but one thing I noticed, I've never seen the city run this bad, ever. I don't care who was running. This is the worst administration I've ever seen. I had very kind people, like Bonnie, who sent me an email about a year ago and said, hey, we're looking for someone to run for city council. Would you consider it? Your name came up. And my first thought was no. Really? Like, no. Why would I want to do? And then I got in touch. Then Mitch Lee from Mira Mesa, Mark, will you run for city council? And then I looked at my kids. I have 2 daughters. They went to school in San Diego. They graduated one graduated from college. I said, you know what? I'm not going to kick this can down the road for my kids to deal with. I'm not going to kick the can down the road for your kids or your grandkids to deal with. Like United Communities, we're going to deal with it right now. And what I found was the first part of my campaign, I discussed all the problems. We have many problems. The second part of this campaign is solutions. I'm just going to go over a few of the 20 solutions I have to help keep our city on track. One is adopt something called zero-based budgeting. If you don't know what zero-based budgeting is, it means each department has to justify what money they're going to get and where they're spending it. Not just, hey, I need a 3% increase. You've all seen it. We have to spend this money so we get the same money next year. We're going to reduce unnecessary middle management. Have you seen this? They've increased the middle managers by 400%. Yet our city's only increased by 2%, a little bit less than 2%. We got to return our staffing down to 2015 levels. That'll save $220 million. It's unbelievable. If our city hasn't increased in size, why is the budget increasing? It's increasing because of bloated spending. We do not have a revenue problem. We have a spending problem. I'm going to consolidate overlapping departments. Well, raise your hand if you're my University City people. Okay, any Linda Vista?
Go into the house.
Okay.
Kenny.
How many times do you have to tear up Governor Drive or Linda Vista Road or all of these streets to put in a pipe or whatever? These departments are not talking to each other. We're going to get the departments talking to each other. We're going to get the departments to consolidate. We don't need to duplicate efforts. We do it in our own life. And we need a leader that's actually going to stand up to the unions. My opponent, here's what I heard. Hey, I don't feel like I have any representation. That's from Mira Mesa, from University. I don't have any representation. Well, you don't. Because my opponent represents the unions. And I can prove that. Every flyer that went out against me saying I'm doing all of these weird things, it's really what he's doing. And every flyer was from the union. So he doesn't represent you. He represents the union. And that's going to change come November, because I'm going to need your help. You can look on my campaign website. You can talk to my chief of staff, who is Lori Zaff, former 2-term city council member. So not only am I running, the person who's running my campaign has been on the council for 8 years and knows all of them. Sat on the council with Gloria, knows all of them. We have a clear path to victory. We can win this. And when you vote, you're not voting for me. You're voting for you. Because San Diego United Communities, all of you, we all have the same interest. So if you see Mark Powell's name in there, you check it, just put your name in there. Because a vote for me is a vote for you. Thank you very much.
And again, San Diego United Communities, I want to make sure we are a non-political group, but we do support the candidates that stand with the neighborhoods and are doing the work with us today, not waiting to get elected. So there's been a few of them, maybe 4 or 5. A few of them are here today and they didn't make it to the next round. And they're here like Mike Rickey in the corner there. So you're seeing these individuals still helping us. So I wanted to make sure that that was clear, that this gentleman has been standing with our group and fighting the good fight. So, District 6. So if you've got family and friends in that district, make sure you let them know. All right, let's keep moving along because we've got a lot of speakers.
Margaret, we've got information here for anyone that's interested in Mark's information. Please come see me at this table.
Yes, everything's at that table. I'm telling you, there's a lot of stuff. Okay, let's keep it moving. All right, so these next guys here, they've been doing some work, guys. And when I say work, they're not sleeping on doing investigations on things for our group. Every person that's in San Diego United Communities, is doing the work behind the scenes, and these two have put in some serious time. So these guys, community advocacy is most effective when residents understand the legal tools, processes, and strategies. We can't just get on Nextdoor and complain, oh my God, this building's going up, oh my God. You gotta take action, and you gotta join forces, and that's what these guys are trying to look for, is ways that we can nitpick, the bogus policies and the things that are being shoved down our throats. So with all due said, I would like to introduce who also ran for a city seat, didn't make it unfortunately, and has stood with us day one, Attorney Paul Supa.
Thank you, Margaret. Thank you everyone for being here today. Good morning. Thank you, San Diego United community members. It's a victory to be here in this library today when the city and the neighborhoods are under assault, right? Recreation centers are closing, libraries are closing, the arts are being gutted, and the city is in a state of constant mismanagement. So I've been asked to say a few words about fighting against that, bringing the fight to them. And we have good news and bad news. I'll cover some bad news first. There's a wide range of opposition, of opponents to identify, whether it's individuals, entities, corporations, trusts, city government officials, or an ever-increasing aggressive oligarchy that seeks to complete a digital cage, right? So there is many problems with that, additional bad news, many fights, right? Grievances, unconstitutional laws that are in effect that we must identify and fight against. I've narrowed it down to 3 categories. I like acronyms. I've come up with CIA, so it's civil rights, infrastructure, affordability, right? So for example, civil rights, flock cameras, mass surveillance, that's one aspect. All the way to what Kenny has been experiencing, right? And residents of Encanto with Municipal Code Footnote 7, this insidious attempt to attack communities, especially communities of color. And that overlaps with not just civil rights, but infrastructure, right? The very fact that we have unhoused people that have the inability to use a restroom, toilets being closed all over. What does that say about our community when we don't allow people of that magnitude of need to be able to use a restroom, wash their hands, as we continue to plow money into a bloated police budget? What is public safety? That conversation needs to be had. We can't just say it's funding a police department. We have to say it is protecting against public health outbreaks, hepatitis, right? So basic human needs. That's the bad news, folks, and there's plenty of it. The good news is we have unprecedented opportunities with AI, with research. AI is a blessing and a curse. We all know it's using water, data centers, the whole thing, billionaires control it. But we can use it to fight back. Kenny mentioned it, ChatGPT. I read that lawsuit. I went to Claude. I revised it. We filed it. And I'm considering signing on to that as the attorney on that case. So I'm conducting my research, and I'll do it pro bono, and we will attack, identify, and ruin the opponents of San Diego that seek to destroy us and divide us. So they're not just trying to divide and conquer, they're dividing, they're distracting, and they're pitting us against each other. We are here. If you don't know where to start, congratulations, you're already here, right? Change starts in our minds, our hearts, and it starts locally. So thank you, San Diego United Communities, right, for stepping up. Thank you to all of you for being here. I will volunteer myself if you want to talk about a situation that you're experiencing. Let's hone in on strategy. Let's use AI. Let's refine the fight, right? And do everything we can to ensure that the city is the greatest city possible, right? Thank you. And I want to say, we've got wonderful community leaders here today, people on the ballot, so there's opportunities and good news to get rid of those who are not doing their job, city council, and listening to their constituents. Let's change that. Thank you.
All right, and his counterpart here, who's also been doing work Sometimes I gotta be like, can you call me at a decent hour? But the work needs to be done, so Mr. Doug Cohen.
Good morning, everybody. I was promised donuts at the back table. It's everything but the donuts, but thank you very much. So, I was going to take a little bit of time, and I mean a little bit of time, because there's a rock star panel here. How did we get here? When San Diego was Enron by the Bay, we didn't have potholes. I was here a long time. We have gone through announcements in recent years where, from the city council's perspective, they announced how healthy the financial budget is. And yet, none of the infrastructure is in place. Nothing's being maintained. Regardless of politics and political alignments, in the 60s, Democrats and Republicans built freeways. They built infrastructure. The theory in government back then was build the infrastructure, the revenue will come. In a situation like Midway Rising, and we've also got Navwar on the horizon, you are finding a city council that is going to allow a developer to build without any infrastructure. And contractually, and I'm going to take a sidebar here, Eric tried to pay me a compliment the other day that I was a wizard with respect to all this buffoonery, and all I heard was that I was a wizard of buffoonery. The thing is I really understand the contractual side of this, and I don't want to bore you with the details, but so I want to give you just one example. In Midway Rising, you had an exemption that was occurred through a state agency that funds housing, affordable housing. It has a requirement. And it says if you reach a certain size of scale of housing, and you promise that 25% of that is going to move forward with affordability, and then there's different affordability complexes. But the fact of the matter is then you get certain exemptions. Well, there's several codes within that. And this is where I'm not going to bore you. But the reason there's several codes, if there's a code 1, and there's a code 2, and a code 3, and a code 4, you get to choose, if you're a municipality, which one you want. In San Diego, they chose to just go with something that will get them in front of a developer, and a developer that they do business with on a daily basis on other projects, and just focus on what is really referred to as one minimum requirement of the deal. Just promise a whole bunch of housing, and 25% of that housing will be part of the affordability complex. Well, if they would have chosen the very next paragraph in the very same set of codes from the very same set of California state agencies, they would have been able to put out a competitive RFP. And why does that matter? Because where's the revenue that's being promised on a 100-year deal to the city of San Diego with Midway Rising's development team? It's none. It's not there. There's not a single paragraph, iota, anywhere in any of the documents, because it doesn't have to be there. In a competitive RFP, and again, the city could have gone that way. It's basically, they went with a non-exempt versus an exempt. And I know I'm boring you with that, but that's how simple this comes down to. They could have gone with an exempt status with the same agency versus a non-exempt. What occurs, though, is in the city of San Diego, going back to the days of Enron, but we still had no potholes, we had infrastructure, is the people we elect are of such poor quality that, guess what? When you get a couple of generations of that down the road, the people who are on the administrative side of the city, it's a patronage system. They're of poor quality as well. We've got really, really bad deals going down here. Midway Rising it's not too late, I believe. I've bored Paul to death on this, but it's not too late to take this on. It's just, what is the strategy moving forward? But it is a very, very flawed deal. Thank you.
And we can trust that they're working on all those updates to bring to our next town hall next month. All right, our next speaker, I'm really happy she's here because she's a busy woman and she wears many hats, including managing all of the planning boards in San Diego. Community planning boards are one of the most important places where residents should can learn about proposals early, raise concerns, and help shape neighborhood decisions. I know for a fact, being a third-term community planning board member for the peninsula, that we don't always get heard. But we've always continued to fight, and I'm really proud to say that Victoria here, that's going to speak in a second, has done a really good job keeping our voices heard on the CPC, which is the larger scale of planning board. So, Miss Victoria Labruzzo, thank you for being here. She's also here as a resident today.
Thank you all so much. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to speak for the community. Today I'm coming to you first and foremost as a resident of San Diego from the community of Scripps Ranch. Second, I'm an elected volunteer for my planning group. And I'm also the chair of the planning group. And as I was introduced, I am the chair of the Community Planners Committee. And it's with those experiences that I'm speaking with you today. When I was asked to consider chairing the CPC in 2025, I sincerely thought I could attempt to be a bridge builder between CPGs and the city. I was naive. I no longer believe that a bridge can be built. So let me give you the bottom line up front, or what my naval husband calls the bluff. Until there is new leadership in this city, leadership that respects all their constituents, our voices will continue to be silenced. This new leadership should make a commitment to provide avenues for voices to be heard. Community planning groups are in place, primed, and waiting to be heard once again. For those of you unfamiliar with community planning groups, or CPGs, let me provide a quick overview. CPGs were officially established and chartered by the City Council of San Diego. Ocean Beach was our very first CPG, and they just celebrated their 50th anniversary. For decades, yeah, they deserve that, 50 years. For decades, CPGs have been San Diego's official system for incorporating neighborhood knowledge into land use decisions. In other words, CPGs are the official voice on land use and housing policies. Members of CPGs are democratically elected by their own communities. There are 41 CPGs throughout the city that represent 50 planning areas. Our city's big, and it's got a lot of areas that need to be covered. Specifically, there are 636 volunteer community planning board members. That's a big number of us, right, that are committed. We exist because the city believed that it was important to gain insights for the people who actually lived and worked in their neighborhoods, because they understand the neighborhood in ways that maps, reports, computer models, and outside agencies cannot. As for Community Planners Committee, as Margaret mentioned, we work as an umbrella organization for CPCs. We meet monthly, and it's generally the chairs or the leaders of those CPGs that come together and talk about citywide issues. In the last decade, just as planning expanded and housing policies exploded throughout the city and state, the city's relationship with CPGs changed. Council President Joe LaCava, who happened to be the chair in 2013 of the CPC, introduced reforms for planning groups. These reforms were implemented in 2024, just a few years ago. A few of the reforms were good, but overall they have had negative impacts on community planning groups and our community voices. City Council reduced our formal standing with the city. They reclassified us as advisory only. They removed the requirements for developers to engage with us. This, of course, increased the tendency to bypass or minimize planning groups altogether, even from the mayor's city planning department. Over the past few years, I've attended many city meetings and watched as the planning commissioners, city council members, and the mayor's planning department react with ambivalence and at times disrespect towards planning group members. From my own experiences as the Scripps Ranch Planning Group Chair, representing our planning commission, to observing a planning commission meeting where city staff and commissioners dismissed valid infrastructure concerns on the college area community plan update. to the Mid-Cities Community Plan update, where the city staff explicitly replaced planning group members with city staff hand-picked community outreach members for their main public input. To the more recent Choyas Valley CPG appeal of the Emerald Hills project, as I observed a council member and a former council member chastise their constituents rather than listen to their voices and respectfully respond.
Vote him out.
These are only a few examples of what's transpired since the CPG reforms. Because it's pretty obvious that these reforms have diminished our voices in the very arenas we are chartered for, CPC took up a vote to pursue a request for a simple procedural change. A change that could possibly show city leaders that the communities is still as important today as it was 5 decades ago, in hopes that we could reclaim a few minutes of our voice during city meetings. I introduced this meeting policy request during public comment at the Rules Committee meeting. The request was to specifically provide CPGs with structured presentation time and city meetings consistent with what is offered to city staff. At the council meeting where I presented, a seat at the table as we call it, President LaCava decided afterwards to provide some historical commentary on how he saved CPGs, because City Council was considering disbanding the CPGs altogether a few years ago, and that his reforms were the only reason that we're allowed to continue. I'll let that comment speak for itself on the City Council's views of the CPGs and their value. Since then, I have presented a seat at the table at various committee meetings, council meetings, commissioner board meetings. Multiple CPGs and the CPC have sent letters to all city leadership. I have met individually with various council members and city planning leadership. I've requested a meeting with Council President LaCava, but have not been granted one, even after providing the justification as to why this is a fair and equitable provision for the community voice to be heard by city leadership. Only one council member has responded positively, and that's Raul Campillo. Great, thank you, Raul. It is clear to me that without a significant change, see, how do you know?
Yeah, Raul.
Oh, there you go.
Welcome,
Come on in, Raul. Come on in. It's clear to me that without significant change in city leadership, the community voice is at a crossroads and will continue to be diminished by the current leadership. So let me speak on planning for just a moment. Why is city leadership against us? Well, for the same reasons that San Diego United Communities was formed, I would imagine. CPGs are not arguing against the need for housing. However, the communities are pushing back against poor planning, against the lack of infrastructure considerations, environmental considerations, and the ramifications of land code updates being rushed through and causing all kinds of issues for our community. From the infamous footnote 7 that was inappropriately added to the Land Development Code, flying in the face of equity for all our communities of concern, to the bonus AU debacle that has caused and continues to cause all kinds of agony for community members. How many more bad decisions will be made? Maybe if the city planners, the city commissioners, and the city council had utilized CPGs for their intended purposes and had listened to their community voices, many of these issues might not be issues today, but we'll never know. As of right now, the city's officially recognized advisory bodies are no longer viewed as meaningful partners. And if the city's officially recognized advisory bodies are no longer viewed as meaningful partners and continue to be viewed this way, it will lead to even greater conflict, more polarization, more litigation, more organized opposition, less collaboration. At a time when the city is facing state housing mandates, complete communities, sustainable development areas, ADU legislation, density bonus programs, ministerial approval, controversies, SB 9, SB 10, SB 79, SB 958, and yearly super revisions to the development code update, what this city should be asking is how do we strengthen collaboration, not remove it. For more than 50 years, San Diego recognized that neighborhoods deserve meaningful role in planning and future of their communities. That is why the city created community planning groups. Today, hundreds of elected volunteers continue to serve. Thousands of volunteer hours are donated every year. Community leaders continue to review projects, study policies, and work towards better outcomes. When those voices feel unheard, they don't disappear, they organize, they educate, they advocate. They continue serving their communities because they care deeply about San Diego's future. To me, this is not evidence that the public is standing in the way of progress. It is evident that the public wants to help shape it. San Diego already has an official system for community participation. The question is not whether residents have a voice. The question is whether city leadership is still willing to listen to the voice it created. Current city leadership has stopped listening and prevented us from fulfilling our roles. That needs to change. Thank you.
She is doing the work. All right, really quickly, we've got a lot of new people coming in. Can you put your hand up if you've got a seat next to you? There's lots of open seats if you want to get comfortable and take a seat. We still have a couple more speakers, and then we're going to open up the microphone to the community. And we do have more media here, so this is going to be very crucial. So take a seat, and let's keep it going. All right. I invited our next speaker because she was at one of our very first protest rallies and spoke on the architect side. So we do have architects out there that are responsible, that do work with the community, and I really want Lori, who's here, to come up here and give you her views coming from a major architect perspective and vision. Miss Lori Fisher.
Thanks, everyone. It's really an honor to be here and a part of this movement. Does anybody here think we don't need housing? Okay. Everybody agrees that we need more housing. We need to increase our density. That's not the issue that we're debating here today. And the reason that we're here is because the city is going about it all wrong. And I'm here as an architect and builder with decades of experience. And I can tell you with complete confidence that there are better, smarter ways to add density, ones that actually strengthen our communities instead of destroying them. Now, the city has handed this critical and complex task over to political operatives and developers with no real oversight. So instead of experienced planning professionals applying foundational principles of good city design, we have profit motives and spreadsheets that are shaping our future. It doesn't take a genius to figure out if you toss a bunch of red meat to a pack of hungry developers, they'll bite, building whatever makes them the most money instead of what's really best for all of us in our communities. You know, big apartment buildings are not the only kind of housing that exists, right? But if you look around this town, you might think that that's all we can build. And those buildings are fine in our main arteries and our major commercial corridors. There's nothing wrong with that, but we do need housing like that. But they're not appropriate in single-family neighborhoods. We don't just need quantity, we need diversity and quality of housing. So San Diego, like the rest of California, was built in the 40s, 50s, and 60s. Around the American dream. You know, every family gets a house and a yard, but unfortunately that dream just isn't sustainable. There's not enough land for everybody to have their own house and their own piece of land. And that's fine because ownership is not for everybody. But the city's solution is to swing clear to the opposite extreme. And as if the only alternative to single-family homes is massive mid-rise apartment complexes and blocks, right? What's actually missing is the middle. Duplexes, triplexes, quadplexes, the housing type most cities across the nation built decades before California did. You can barely tell them apart from single-family homes next door. They fit the context, and they still add real density. And actually, it tends to be more efficient than some of these big apartment blocks. So, to wrap up, I'd like to talk about something that I know really well professionally that I don't think gets enough attention at all. And that is that 95% that's not an official statistic, that's just me looking at what's going up around me. It's 7+ stories of wood framing. And I know you've seen these buildings. I mean, our company builds non-combustible wood-free homes, and I've been working with fire survivors since 2018. And so when I see these wood structures going up, it's like a trigger for me. And I'm serious about that. And fire survivors feel that way too, by the way. We see these buildings going up all over, 7 stories, sometimes spanning hundreds of thousands of square feet. Some of these buildings are truly massive. Now, you think of the average, the typical, wood-framed home contains roughly the equivalent of 200 trees. So you take that and look at these massive structures. They contain the equivalent of 10,000 trees or more. They may be safe today, but 20 years from now, as that wood rots and decays and gets termite infested, we'll have an enormous new fuel source on our hands in some of the highest fire hazard terrain in the state. So think about that for a second.
And no way out.
And no way out, right. So look, we get that we need more housing. Nobody is saying that we don't need more housing. It's not the issue. What we need is housing done right. And the city of San Diego is doing it all right. Thank you very much.
It's nice to hear from a responsible developer architect. That's how it should be done. All right, let's keep this moving along. These next two are really important because for months, San Diego United Communities were getting cries of help, and what saddened me personally was I was copying on all the emails that went to the developers, actually the same developers that are pushing for Midway Rising. These guys live in those current developments that are by the same developers, and you'll be mind blown at what happens at these senior facilities that are being ignored. So this is a real big problem in San Diego, probably bigger than some of the other ones we think. It's just not being talked about in the news. San Diego United Communities brought this out to light. We held a massive protest, and then they started talking. They didn't like the news. They didn't like that San Diego community. All of you were there helping the senior community protect their quality of life and safety. So I wanted to make sure, and it's hard for them to get here, most of the senior community, and they made it here today, and I'm very proud of them, and I want to give them this platform because I want all of you to hear, if you decide to go into these beautiful on the outside, nightmare on the inside, complexes that these developers are building, you're going to hear from them. Today I have David Moody. First off, he's the honorary chairman of the Senior Residents Council of San Diego, which is under our umbrella of San Diego United Communities.
Thank you very much. We formed the Senior Council, Senior Residents Council back in February 2025. Time flies and you're having a good time. It's amazing. We wanted to have a strong voice for the senior residents, primarily in the Paul Downey campus, which is now close to 1,000 people. We faced many problems since we moved in, including having our rents raised 8.8% 6 months after we moved in. Anyway, we formed a very strong council. We've had good support from Senior Residents Council, serving seniors, and excellent support, essential, critical support from San Diego United Communities, just a fantastic organization. So we had to deal with rapacious developer Chelsea Bank, Hyder Property Management, and we dealt with many problems aside from rent, problems with cleaning, not enough parking. There's basically half the parking spaces that were promised. We've dealt with handicapped issues, no handicap ramps, no handicap parking, like obvious things like that. So with the help of United Communities, we were able to secure rent reduction of 5%, which is helpful. And we were able to get a new hot water system because there was no hot water. And there are still several issues that we haven't solved, including some additional parking and ongoing rent control. By the way, we're demanding rent increases no greater than COLA, cost of living adjustment. So that would be a future issue that we'll have to deal with. But, they've been promoting our apartments as affordable and secure, and they weren't either, really. It's hard when you're on a fixed income to pay $1,500, $1,600 a month and then get a raise of 8%. It's kind of crazy. Anyway, I just want to thank, from the bottom of my heart, Margaret and San Diego United Communities. Without their help and the help of our council, it's really important to have. Our council's open to the public, 15 people on the council. We meet every week. But San Diego United Communities is critical. Serving Seniors, by the way, is a good organization. They have provided some help, but sometimes they get swallowed up by the developers and the property management firms. I'd also like to thank the press that have helped us. Explore Claremont, by the way, did a lot of great work for us. I hope you support them. I want to give a shout out to Bill Joyce, who's my successor, who had to attend an environmental meeting today. Anyway, thank you very much. God bless all of you.
That's an emotional one for me because I was disturbed when I went to do those walkthroughs when they're sitting there doing ribbon cutting ceremonies saying that they're helping our seniors, and then you get the truth. It's disturbing. So that needs to go on the record. And you're going to be protected with us always. All right, his sidekick here, she's down in Little Italy also. She is a fireball. I've learned so much from her, and I'm ready for my senior retirement one day with all your help and guidance. Victoria, you've been so instrumental in this fight for the seniors and keeping the city accountable. And Victoria is a founder, and she also has a newsletter out for seniors, which is incredible. She's the director of SHAC, Senior Housing Advisory Council. Here you go, Victoria.
Thank you very much. I want to say that I don't live in their building, but they did amazing stuff. This is how San Diego United Communities and all of you come together to make a difference. They had multiple issues. As you can see right down here, no hot water, no security, no speed bumps. They had a predator living in the building, a sex offender living in the building. Within 1 week of San Diego United going over, Chelsea started responding. Prior to that, the developer did not answer one phone call, did not answer one email. They ghosted the entire community of thousands of units over and over. And that's what I'm seeing in Bridge Housing as well, also an affordable community, where the owner, the president of Bridge Housing is CEO Ken Lombard. He oversees 10,000 units. His take-home pay is every year, not $60,000, not $70,000, not $1 million, but $1,067,000. Ken Lombard is the CEO of Bridge Housing, and all they do is affordable buildings. They've got a dozen of them in San Diego County. When the rent increase comes every year, it's going to be triple what COLA is. Triple what COLA is. So when you see the words cap to COLA, that means in senior affordable buildings, the seniors would like their rent increase to be no more than their income increase. Does that sound fair? Yeah. Can you take action about doing this? Yes. Can you be involved with San Diego United Communities under Margaret? When you get an email from them that says, yo, everybody, please call the city council on this issue. That's how you can take action. I don't live in University City, but guess who I'm going to be trying to get voted for? Mark Powell, right? I'm in an apartment building. I don't care about bumps in the cars. I don't have a car. But over there, Tracy and Debbie, they care about speed bumps in their neighborhood. With San Diego Communities, I'm going to be supporting their issue. You guys should support their issue too. When everybody here in this room supports each other and gets rid of the old guys and takes action, get rid of the old guys. Let's see them all together. Sorry. Mark Powell's a young guy. Let's get him in office. Who's that guy Supra over there? He's a young guy. Let's get him in office. Let's take action. You guys are going to get education and take action. That's how we can be powerful. San Diego United Communities has shown you can take action. Don't be the 5 Ds. Don't be dismissed. Don't be distracted. Don't be deflected. Don't be discouraged. And don't be dissipated. Do what? You're going to take action, right? Thank you, Margaret. Take action.
Okay. You'll be protected too. All right, so let's get into the neighborhoods. We've selected a couple neighborhoods that are at that stage where they need our help. Okay, so Pacific Beach. The struggle is real in this community. Today we've got Lisa Barron and Trudy Grunlin, who have been putting in massive work. We got to see the photos. And I'm really thankful you ladies are here today.
Hello, thank you. My name is Lisa Barron. And we are, in Pacific Beach, the result of all of these bad policies and poor leadership in the city of San Diego. This is the Turquoise Tower. This is what they want to put up on a narrow 2-lane road in North Pacific Beach in a 30-foot building zone because they included 5 discounted rents.
BS.
They're discounted. That's base rent. You know, if you want to park, it's extra. I guess if you want a toilet, it's extra. But this is what we need help with. This is coming to every community. If this gets passed, if the Turquoise Tower gets passed, it will be wall-to-wall 23-story buildings as far as the eye can see. They will wall off the beaches in San Diego, and we will turn into Miami Beach. We need your support. We are Team Turquoise Tower, and we also, we don't represent, but we also would encourage everybody to go to neighborsforbettercalifornia.org. They have a lot of good updates. We're raising money. We have a GoFundMe, and Neighbors for a Better California also is raising money for legal funds because this is going to end up in the courts because the developer's a billionaire and it's just me with a poster. So, but I have the truth on my side and I have the right on my side. So please protect the beaches in San Diego.
I first
about this in 2024, but to back up a second, I was minding my own business, living in San Diego, enjoying life, and then I had an Airbnb party house open up near me. And I called the city, and I called Airbnb, and that went on for years, and that's how come I kind of got involved in paying attention, because I was going, nobody is helping anybody around here, and that's why we need to have a community involvement. So then I heard about a ADU, 14 of them being built behind a house in Claremont, and I went up there and I went, what the hell is going on around here? The Airbnbs are driving everyone crazy, and now we have these buildings, apartment buildings going behind houses. Then I heard about this 23-story monstrosity. The Pacific Beach Planning Group, as we have mentioned, heard about it by chance, so to speak, as opposed, this is going to get a ministerial permit. There's two types of permits. One where you're like putting a little addition on your house, a front porch, bedroom, you just go in, they kind of go boom, boom, because you don't need to change the whole infrastructure of the neighborhood. Then you have the ones that could impact the neighborhood with everything, traffic, zoning, safety, all those good things. Well, this project is getting a ministerial, and so then I started going to all those meetings, and then I said to myself, who's the developer? This is where the story gets interesting. So I looked up the developer, and there's over 220 LLCs for this company. The main company is called Carmel Partners out of San Francisco. I'll tell you this one in a second. Anyway, so this is the son of that owner who in 2022, 4 years ago, at the age of 31, showed up in PB and managed to find the 4 properties that he wanted to get to pay $10 million for them. And you would say to yourself, how does a kid do this? Something's wrong. Yeah, that's the more I go deeper. Then I find out that he is that's the connection with Carmel Partners, because he's coming under, first he had one name for the company, that's another, now it's Colonymous. Now what does this mean to everybody sitting in this room? If anyone has driven in Hillcrest in the last 6 months or whatever, and you notice all those buildings wrapped in blue and the high rises going up, a lot of them are under Carmel Partners being built, because Daddy has his foot in the door. Daddy is a big donor to Todd Gloria. Daddy is very connected to Governor Newsom. Daddy is a supporter of Senator Scott Wiener. So we have so much collusion going on that you just start choking, saying, how are we, as the small people, going to fight this? So this is what's happening. So the Pacific Beach Planning Group legally cannot collect money and do the kind of things that a planning group is chartered to do. So they made an offshoot, and that is called Neighbors for a Better California. And they have been working their butts off on this in the ways that they can do it. But as was told, the planning groups and all that are basically tempered down to almost nothing. So they are told basically behave, don't rattle the cage, and that it's going through the DSD process. So then, meanwhile, the rest of the neighbors are all going, well, what do we do? Because as we all know, Margaret, every single person in this room, whenever something comes up, we're all going, what are we supposed to do? So there's a group of us that in the background have been pounding the earth, like all of us here, for at least 2 years. I write a lot of stuff on Nextdoor. You may have read one or two. They suspended me last week. I guess I must have hit a nerve. Because I called out the fact that I also looked into who are the attorneys on this. I mean, I go dig on everything. And it bothers me. Okay, attorneys are supposed to do their job. Yes, but this is again where you go, the politicians are supposed to do their job. Who's looking after the house? Okay, so I I called up all, I figured we're gonna raise money and we're gonna hire the best attorney, land use attorney in San Diego. I get on the phone and I call all the land use attorneys in San Diego, and they go, we represent developers, sorry, it's a conflict of interest. So we're not left with, but we end up with a smaller firm that is not one that charges $1,200 an hour because there's only a handful of people in a smaller office. The big one, so the developer in this one has hired the largest land use attorney firm in San Diego, Allen Matkins. And the group, there's 5 attorneys assigned to this project. Like, I'm drowning, like, how are you supposed to fight this? So the lead attorney makes $1,200 an hour. You know how much money we have to raise? Everybody here, empty your savings accounts, get rid of your IRAs, do everything you need to do to fund this thing, because every person here, every project in Canto, everybody needs money to pay for these attorneys. It's become an attorney mill. Sorry, I talk with my hands. I get in trouble all the time. So okay, so here we are with a. I just got to tell you this about the developer. I'm going to wrap it up, Eric. The developer's father, a few years ago, he hates affordable housing. So his stories are, we will put them in the building, and in Los Angeles, he hired a lobbyist to bribe the deputy mayor and the president of the city council, and it all got caught. He got a $1.2 million fine. They went to jail, and that just happened within the last 5 years. So, and the building went up, no affordable units in it. So when we hear this stuff, and we think that there's going to be rents and something that's going to cost them $180 million plus to put up, that they're going to give us a rent that's $1,700 a month? No, let's be sensible here. So anybody who has any influence, anybody with influence, we need their help. Thank you very much.
Raise your hands really quick. Who got valuable information from this presentation today? Okay, there you go, ladies. Next up, I have one more neighborhood here. This one's a big one. I've been waiting for this one. This is the Midway Rising Navwar projects. We've got in-house today former California State Assembly member, Miss Lori Saldana, and also publisher of the Presidio Centennial and community activist, Miss Patty Ducey Brooks.
As Margaret knows and several other, we bought the Kettner and Vine homeless facility on Kettner and Vine. And the biggest opponent of that was Todd Gloria and Whitburn and Jim Campbell. They kept telling us, by the way, I sit on the Uptown Planners Board, I'm the vice chair. I also sit in the Old Town Chamber of Commerce. The Old Town Planning Group people are here today as well. I'm also on the board of the San Diego County Taxpayers Association. I'm the chair of the government committee. So I wear a lot of hats. What you learn when you get involved in these various organizations is very important. You do learn about land issues, you do learn about taxation, you learn things that make you smarter. And so when you have these conversations, you're speaking from reality and truth, because the truth will set you free. And one of the things that I have realized is when you tell the facts and you do the right thing and you keep hammering the truth, you find solutions. On the Kettner and Vine, we fought it back, and they couldn't build it. Because guess what? The money wasn't there. And now on top of that, it was the wrong thing to do, because I worked in the homeless organizations, and what they were going to do was put people basically into a dump, I call it, just treat them like they were animals, and that's not acceptable. We don't treat people that way. And on the other was the San Diego, the trash fee, excuse me, there's so many other things I'm thinking about, the trash fee lawsuit. Two of us decided we were going to meet with Mike Aguirre, who, as you know, used to be the city attorney of San Diego. A lot of people call him a bulldog. Well, he is. And I'm proud to say that I have other people in this room that became plaintiffs that joined us in that fight to stop to deal with the trash fee. Otherwise, they were going to raise the trash every year. We would have no control of what would happen. So we fought. And thanks to Mike and Mia Severson, we won the battle. And guess what? Some of us are going to be auditors. We're going to audit the trash. And because the people need to stay involved. You know, once you sign on, you can't just say, well, it's over, I have to let it go. No, you got to stay involved. And I don't have a lot of energy anymore, but somehow I find it, and I find people that have such incredible talent and knowledge. And as you now know, we're fighting SB 958. And if you don't know what SB 958 is, it's an attempt by our government officials to basically wash away CEQA, which was built to protect us, the California Environmental Quality Act. So what they're trying to do is to eliminate parts of it that are critical to future development and throughout the state of California, not just here in San Diego. It was initially meant just for Midway Rising, which, by the way, we are calling Midway Sinking. Okay? So don't call it the other. Call it Midway Sinking, because you'll hear from Lori Saldana why that's the case. The point of the matter is we're pushing back. And as you know, Victoria mentioned, as housing, sitting on these community planning groups, people say our voices don't matter, our voices do matter. Because guess what? Every time that we have a meeting, our group is getting stronger every day. I am so proud of the Uptown Planners Group. I wasn't before, because there are a lot of yimbies that used to be on the group. And now it's converted back to rational, logical people. It's not that we don't want housing, but we're not getting affordable housing. We're not getting what people really need. And what they're building is, as everybody said, crap. And by the way, it's not sustainable. So you start looking at all these rationalities about what isn't working, what is working. We believe in doing what's right. So on the SB 958 issue, we had a meeting here a couple weeks ago, and Eric was one of the lead people speaking at that event. And what we determined was, or what not determined was, but we wanted everybody to understand what was happening with SB 958 was basically to put high rises on the property. Well, fortunately, somebody that was sitting in the audience spoke up, and that's Assembly Member Lori Saldana. Thank God she did. She told the truth. She gave us information that made us realize how fortunate we were to have her in the room. And now she's fighting together with us to change the course. And I do believe we can change the course. By the way, tomorrow, she's going to mention this, there's going to be a meeting down at the sports arena that's been initiated by Senator Weber Pearson, who we've tried to have a meeting with her for the last several months. She wouldn't meet with us. She'd have her staff meet with us, and then she would not answer all the questions we raised, which were sensible, logical, rational questions. So we want to be there tomorrow, and we want signs, lots of signs, and Lori will talk about that. But again, when you have people like this who have knowledge, the truth will set you free. Lori.
Thank you, Patty. Thank you, Margaret. And thank you for all the speakers. I'm learning so much. Good to see Lori Fisher. She and I were housemates. Anyway, we've known each other for 25 years. So I like to tell people I am a lifetime San Diegan. I am a retired university researcher and educator, and I am a recovering legislator. And I really look at it in that order, because growing up in San Diego, I don't know how many of you have had that privilege, but we've seen, if you want to show of hands, a few, more than a few, the changes we have, okay, we weren't sure. The changes we have seen in our lifetimes in San Diego, the quality of life, is why we're all here. To let the elected officials and the policymakers know this is not the direction we want to be going. And to be respectful of time, what do I have? 5 minutes. Okay. For you, 5. Okay, so very quickly. Tomorrow, because of pressure from many of the people in this room, Senator Akilah Weber Pearson will be at Pechanga to discuss supposedly the Midway Sinking project. I either call it the Midway Project or the Midway Sinking Project, because the reality is, having worked on infrastructure all along the U.S.-Mexico border as a presidential appointee, having served in the legislature and been appointed to the Coastal Conservancy, our coastal areas are sinking, and critical infrastructure, in especially the area around Midway, is already showing signs of breakdowns, costing us tens of millions of dollars in emergency repairs now, and millions into perpetuity to pay for their failure to do the engineering analysis and the hydrology reports they needed to build the pure water pump station, for example, on Friars Road in Morena. The assessment of hydrology was incorrect. When they started building, it immediately began flooding. That immediately shut down the project it's now been shut down for over a year, and the cost is $20 million and rising. All the contingency funds for pure water are gone. So my emphasis as former chair of the Sierra Club, as a legislator, as a researcher, has been on water and power in San Diego. How many water and power bills are you paying that have gone down? You can count on death taxes and water and power bills going up in value, and SDG&E driving that. Why do I bring power into it? If they build what they want to build on the footprint in Midway, just as the convention center is now spending over $1 million to pump groundwater out, and they've done that since it was built 40 years ago, any project built in Midway will have to have pumps going 24 hours a day to get the groundwater out of the substructure. And I think my architect friend is nodding her head. She understands this. It's called infiltration, groundwater infiltration. And I bought an extra copy of this book to present to the senator tomorrow, California Against the Sea. I highly encourage you to go to a local bookstore and purchase this book and understand the water is coming at us from 4 directions. Ask the Chollas Creek people. When the water comes from the sky and it has no place to go because the groundwater is coming up from below thanks to the sea level coming in from the west, and the rivers and other areas flooding. This is Midway. I'm describing Midway now. There is literally no place for that water to go. And in recent storms, if you live in this area, you've already experienced failed sewage infrastructure, pumps failing because of the excess water. I taught in the Midway area for the community college. We routinely had sewage smells in our campus building because we're at sea level in the Midway area. And at high tides, the water's already coming to the surface, flooding streets around here. So without getting too much into the details, I'll just say, truth is good, action is essential. I used to tell constituents, I'll take your prayers, but faith without deeds is dead. So we need deeds, we need actions. I have brought sign-making materials to the back of the room there. How many of you are going to show up at Pechanga tomorrow morning to...
And it's Pechanga and Midway.
Pechanga at the Midway site. Yes, not out in East County. No, we're talking about, thank you, the Pechanga... Sports arena. The sports arena. So we have sign-making materials in the back. It's Midway Sinking, okay? Just bring a simple sign to show the senator and her staff and the developers. It's Midway Sinking, not any other name. The senator is promoting this at 10, but we know that there will be pro-Midway project people there earlier in the morning. So please show up between 9 and 9:30. Make signs, make your own signs. I have a few suggestions on topics. We need hydrology reports. Show us your hydrology report. Where is it? I got a little carried away in the spelling there. Where is the hydrology report? Where are the studies that show where the groundwater is? And that's my time. Thank you all. We are other people,
We need more Lorries. All right, next up real quick, Pamela Beagle. She has been a big part of our group since day one. She keeps us organized, looking good, but she has her whole ordeal as well. Here you go.
Now we're talking.
My name is Pamela Beagle. How many of you have heard of adubonus.org? Oh, wow, thank you. We have about 400 members right now, And in case you didn't know, for the ADU bonus for California, the maximum they had was 3 ADUs in a backyard. Does that look like 3? Okay, well, everybody who knows me knows I've been after the one, San Diego's largest ADU developer, Mr. Christian Spicer. You want me to get in front of the camera so the people online can hear you? Sorry. You've all heard, yes, thank you. There's a picture of him, and we were successful in getting him to go underground and change the name of his business. He ended up in a new office outside of Kearny Mesa where he was, and he changed his name to Infill Innovations. But nobody would recognize him now, would they? No, we're all falling for him. Okay, my point is this. I am not just ADU bonus. I am complete communities also of what we're dealing with. I will be at the protest tomorrow for Midway sinking. There are poster boards. I reused them. This was for the Balboa Park one. But guess what? They're blank on the back, and you can put anything you want. Wave your hand back there by the table. We've got a bunch of blank ones for you if you want to take them home and write on them. So for any of you who are interested, I also create a calendar of all the events that all these people are into. I try to keep everybody up to date. It's really hard. Everybody here has been trying. Okay, so if you want to know about my organization, this is the flyer up on the table. Wave your hand, Scott, please. Thank you. If you want to grab it, as I said, we try to keep everybody up to date. We don't spam. We only do about 1 to 5 emails maximum a week. Okay? Thank you very much.
She is a major part of our group. We have one last speaker. We're going to open up the forum to the community with a special speaker here that's going to start the community. And we want to make sure you all speak. I don't care if it's feedback, questions for the panel. We want to get it all recorded. So our last speaker here has been helping us from day one, standing with the people, for the people, not as a candidate, but just a former mayor with experience of common sense politics. And I asked him to come today because he truly has been standing with our group since day one and coming up with ways that we can fight the city on the San Diego side. So he's been very instrumental in our group. Thank you for being here, Richard Bailey.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much, Margaret. Thanks to all of you for being here today. Give yourself a warm round of applause. We've heard from a lot of great speakers covering a lot of important topics, but the most important thing we can do is something that City Hall is not doing right now, and that is listening to all of you. So I'm going to keep my remarks fairly brief. When I look out in this room, I see people that are united around their love for the city of San Diego and their desire to see a return to fiscal responsibility, accountability, and good governance that can actually deliver on the basics of what City Hall is supposed to deliver. I don't know about you, but I don't think it's too much to ask for streets that are actually paved. I don't think it's too much to ask for parks that are actually maintained or neighborhoods that are actually protected. And call me crazy, but I don't think it's too much to ask for public restrooms to actually be open for the public. Now, I'd like to share just a handful of stats to really emphasize just what a terrible situation the city of San Diego is in right now. City officials try to tell you that they have a revenue problem. And in fact, they try to raise our sales taxes. They try to raise revenues through numerous fees. But can anyone in this room tell me, what year did the city of San Diego bring in an all-time high record amount of tax revenue? Last fiscal year. That's exactly right. I don't know about you, but I don't know any company in the world that says, guys, we have a revenue problem. Revenue's at an all-time high. It just doesn't make sense. City officials try to tell you that they just don't have a revenue problem. They also don't have enough staff to keep the libraries open. They don't have enough staff to maintain the streets. But over the past 10 years, while the city's population has increased by just 1.5%, City staffing has increased by 27%. And that's the biggest driver of the city's structural deficit right now. And yet, despite record high spending and record high staffing, performance is at an all-time low. Here's 3 stats that you need to know. 10 years ago, just 6% of city streets were rated as poor or failing. Today it's over 30%. 10 years ago, it would take just 15 days to repair a streetlight in your neighborhood. Today, if the streetlight went out in your neighborhood, it's not getting repaired to nearly 2029. 10 years ago, and that's according to the city, these aren't my stats, according to the city. 10 years ago, a priority 1 call to 911 would have a response time of about 12 minutes. Today, it's over 35 minutes. When you look at these stats tell me the city does not have a revenue problem. It has a spending and management problem. And the city, that's worth a round of applause, yeah. So what can we do to make a difference? What can we do to make a difference? When you look at the hierarchy of the city chart right now, who's at the top? It's not the city council. It's not the mayor. It's the people. It is the people in this room. It is the shareholders of our city. So I bring that up because meetings like this, they're great. It's important to organize. It's important to see who our fellow warriors are. But this is the beginning. It is not the end. This is the beginning. And us as shareholders, we elect our representatives. There are 9 representatives on the city council. Of course, there's 1 mayor. We have 3 opportunities this upcoming November to elect 3 new representatives. And so I want all of us, I won't keep this political, but I want all of us to stay engaged, to look out for these 3 council members, or 3 candidates, will hopefully be future council members. We can do a much better job, once again, delivering that fiscal responsibility, accountability, and return to good governance. So thank you all so much for being here today. Let's go kick some butt.
All right, and you have stuff at the table there, right? People will stick around for a few minutes? Okay, so Richard will be sticking around if you guys want to talk to him, do a meet and greet. But let's open up this now for the community. So this is how it's going to go. And I have 1 speaker that's going to kick it off. From the University City, right? University Heights neighborhood. You can just go here. Do you guys want the speaker to face you guys, or do you want the back turned? Face you guys? Okay. So just, everyone's going to go to the mic here, and you're going to line up either side. It doesn't matter because we don't want a whole line. And we'll take 1 by 1, but I missed you because you were on our speaker list, but we would definitely want to make sure the community is speaking. Can someone help me here, Roll? Because I'm going to have you take over in a sec. Oh, and we have Judy. Please stand. Judy? Yes, can you go after? Actually, can you go after? Okay. But Judy here, when she sees you slowing down, that means you've got a couple seconds to wrap up. Everyone gets 2 minutes. And then you can go again, though. You can go again, just because we want to hear everyone. So just get your points out clear, fast, concise. And again, we'll answer as much as you can. If you've got a question to the panel, just make sure you address who your questions to. Okay? So this should work. Do you want to test it for me, Della?
Testing, hello. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. And then you're going to be in control of the Q&A. This is Raul. He's also part of San Diego United Communities.
Hi, I'm Della June. I'm just a citizen of San Diego. I actually live in Claremont, close to Mr. Moody over there by the Mount Etna project. I'm not here to talk about Claremont today. I'm here to talk about my investment property, and I know that, and it's just an investment property, but I want to tell you a little bit about what's going on in North Park. So North Park in University Heights, over there south of the 8. My mom, I moved her out here 15 years ago, my senior disabled mom, to help us raise our son. And recently, a few years ago, we found out that they were going to be building this structure right here. Sorry that it's so small. At 4534 Idaho Street. So this is an 8-story building. It's going to be 49 units with a 30-car elevator basically inside of it.
And notice the picture, the rendering doesn't actually show my condo complex or the duplex that's next door. It just blurs us out. So here's what it used to be. It used to be it was zoned R5, and it had a little bungalow craftsman house, and in the back it had some space for some other units. They tore that down. Here's the size of the lot. It's about 7,000 square feet, and I'm willing to bet that many of us have homes that we live on that are 7,000 square feet. Imagine a 49 unit, 8-story building going next door. That's what's going to be there. This was originally, the property was sold in 2021 for $1.4 million. They were going to do 5 row homes, which we were thrilled about. But I think the developer, during COVID, while we were all asleep in our houses with our masks on, decided that they were going to change all of the zoning. And now people came along and decided that this was the best use for the land. Once again, I'm not opposed to housing, but I'm opposed to this because the entire block of Idaho Street, it's right by Garfield Elementary School, has been for a year under construction. It's going to be 1 more year. And so right now, this is how close it is to our house, to our condo complexes here. Where my mom fled back to rural New Mexico. She said, I can't live next to this. I can't drive on the freeway. She's 80 now. I don't want to live like this. And God is telling me, go back to New Mexico. So this is on story 4. It's going to be 8. This is what we pull up when we go into the alley. There's just construction workers everywhere. And this is going to be a 2-year process. This is now the wall of our patio. It's now walled off. So real quick, in addition, behind our complex on Oregon, they took this is a 5,800 square foot lot. They tore this little Spanish style house down. It's a vacant lot right now where people dump trash all the time. Here's the Oregon lot. Here's ours. It's under construction. This is my condo complex. That is going to be a 9-story. 49-unit building. And I asked the builder, what about fire safety? These are not called high rises in San Diego because in San Diego it's 90 feet. This is 87 feet, the Oregon property. So it's just right under that. And I have to go now, but I just want you to know North Park and U Heights and Hillcrest, we all deserve better than that there.
Thank you.
How can the community get a hold of you?
I'll put this out.
Okay. Thank you. Yes. Thank you.
Can you state your name and what community?
I am Judy Murphy, and I'm from University City. I just wanted to ask how many of you realize that in the city budget, they paid $1.5 million worth of employee parking per year. There is a trolley stop, literally, at the steps to City Hall. I am asking our city administration to practice what you preach. Let's take a third of that and put it toward opening the restrooms in Mission Bay Park, downtown, and wherever else our governor or our mayor has decided we don't need restrooms.
Your name and what community?
I'm Martin Eder. I am from City Heights, also a part of Activist San Diego. A few things. First of all, thanks to Pamela and Lori Saldana for bringing me here and notifying us and doing the good work. My first comment is that as long as the city and the rest of society believes that contractors will build us out of a problem, it is the problem that they're creating, and that is speculative real estate, not for the people, but for the billionaire class. And that's why there's unaffordability. The housing crisis really is one created by this very voracious real estate investment kind of things, permanently driving. I like to say that what we need is not just structures, we need to be building community and preserving community. And pure structures are going to drive the opposite. A couple of really quick issues. The idea that the city will give up and get rid of parking spaces and all these other things for an affordability that just lapses in 10, maybe even if it's 20 years, whatever, just kicks the can down the road. If there's going to be a concession, it's got to be permanent, for a forever affordability. And very lastly, let's stay united, stay active. Thank you very much.
Your name and community?
My name's Michelle Jeanette. I live in Claremont at my parents' house. I have a house in La Mesa. I just have an anecdote. I had a friend, 79, worked with homeless in Baltimore, called me from the neighborhood. I've known him since I was 14. And he said, it's too hardcore here in Baltimore for me. My clients are getting murdered and dying of fentanyl, and I need to come home. Can I put my RV in your driveway until I can find some affordable housing in San Diego? Okay, this guy's worked all his life. He actually visits and eats lunch at the senior center there. And when he applied, his Social Security is $2,000 a month, right? So he said, I'd have to pay all of my rent to my neighborhood senior housing. So what he's doing now, he was a dog trainer. He's driving to Santa Isabel and training 40 retrievers. He's shooting caterpillar ducks and things into the air from Wednesday morning till Sunday morning when it comes back to my driveway. But I get phone calls from developers all the time because I have my house and my mom's house and a triplex that my dad bought a $1,400 lot by USD. He rented the 2-bedroom apartments for $600 a month, so that's affordable housing. And I'm renting it now for $1,400. And at the top of Loretta Street, there's one of those 90-unit apartments with no parking. But when I get phone calls from the developers, from people asking if I want to sell my house, I say, how long have you had this job? And can you maybe go into teaching or nursing or something that helps somebody? Because I said it's really dirty money, and you guys are just flipping houses, and you're the reason people are sleeping on the, on the pavement. So I think, people need jobs, so they don't have to get money out of their houses, because that's what's happening.
My community is Alley Gardens. I was born and raised there, been there 64 years. I was a business owner at Iowa Longmore Bar Grill for 12 years. I was a San Diego State employee for 21 years. I won't tell you how come I had to early retire. I was very involved with the budget. I don't have a college degree. It's very hard when you work for a university. But I work with Alley Gardens Community Council. I'm not on the boards because I travel a lot and my kids come first. I have 2 kids with all have chronic illnesses, even though they're adults. I work with Navajo planners. I work with Kiwanis. My husband and I raised probably a few $1 million in 12 years, giving back to the community that raised me. And I'm here because of the Benjamin Library. And we don't need, right now the vacancy rate in San Diego is the highest it's been since 2000. I own a condo right next to the San Diego Mission where I went to school, and I bought it after my mom passed away of cancer when I was 20. She was a medical doctor. She was like the 3 doctor, like early, pretty much great. And then, anyways, we have enough housing. I'm sorry. We have enough housing. Mission Point Road is a freaking nightmare. And we don't need more housing. We need more affordable housing, but we don't need more housing. You know what? I own my property, and we're going to be selling it when my husband retires next year. And we're fortunate enough that we're going to be able to go both places. I do not live in my parents' house, but this is ridiculous. And I already talked to the mayor's office twice. I went to the Mission Valley joke of a meeting that nobody even showed up to. Nobody from the mayor's office, nobody from anywhere. So I asked for a meeting with the mayor, and the guy goes, "Well, you can go online." I said, "No. Why don't you give him the note? Why don't you give him my name and tell him to call me?" So, needless to say, I'm very furious about this whole situation, and nobody can convince me we need more housing. We need people in houses. Thank you.
I'm Brenda Orby, and I'm from Alley Gardens in Burbank. So I went to this affordable home development master plan open house that the previous speaker just was talking about. And I asked the city staff who was there, how is this getting funded? So I don't know if she explained, but they are wanting to tear down the libraries and then build library low-income housing on top of it, or next to it, and on the Benjamin Library, where I went to, my kids went to, my grandchild goes to, they want to build 42 units on a little plot of land, plus the library, if they remember to put it in. And I asked the staffer, how are you going to pay for this? And they go, oh, we haven't figured out funding yet. This is just introductory. So how do you come up with a plan if you don't know where you're going to get the money from? So that's my biggest concern, is that city council is making all of these grandiose plans, and funding is always an afterthought. The infrastructure in Alley Gardens on that corner, there's not enough traffic. Everybody knows people are going to drive their car. They're not going to use city transportation because it takes them twice as long to get somewhere. And who has the time to take a bus? So that's just wanting to make sure everyone's aware of what they're trying to do to our libraries.
Hello everyone, I am Karen Ventimiglia. I represent PB in La Jolla. I'm also a board member for Neighbors for a Better California. I want to thank these two for coming today and representing this project. It's very important. But what I wanted to say here, I've been on the board of NFABC for over a year. What I find with this project, the Turquoise Tower, is it's mostly all state law. And one of the things we're not paying enough attention, in my humble opinion, is state law. And they're coming down this year, this legislative session alone, 120 housing bills were introduced. The group behind the Abundance/YIMBY movement is, as we know and can verify, it's funded by tech industry. What we're fighting here at the bonus ADU level, all of which is incredibly important, will be non-existent, I hate to say, in 5 years, because they have made local decision-making the enemy. It's all the reason that they have to come and send down state mandates. So again, I'm not fear-mongering here. I just want people to start also paying attention to what's happening. We can change city council. That would be fantastic. We also have to have a city council that can push back, and that's why I'm working at the state level, because it's got to be the entire state of California that works with what we're doing here. Eventually, we need all the way from Paradise all the way down to San Diego. We need to be working in concert. Thank you very much. Appreciate you all listening.
Hello, thank you everyone for putting this together and being here. I'm from Old Town, San Diego, birthplace of California. And guess what's happening? That's right. Perry's Cafe got through complete communities. Our voices were muted. When NAV4 is going to come to us when that EIR is done, you need to stand with us. Our Presidio, a National Historic Landmark, do you know what's happening up there? At least 6 overdoses a week. All the fires that are coming up on Presidio Drive and Camas in San Diego River, Midway has become so disjointed. All that traffic that's going to be coming through Pacific Highway, Rosecrans, Taylor Street, heading through our neighborhoods. Currently, we have a problem with buses, FlexBus and Greyhound. Send your letters to the City Council. Our school starts on Monday, and those buses are still operating. We need your help, and this is the only way we're going to defeat what's happening any further. Old Town San Diego has already been sliced and diced by Interstate 5 and 8. Don't you remember that? And now look what they want to continue to do to our historic communities, our culture. Our people are already on reservations, and the families that are still there, ours, DeSoto's are still there. We're still here. You're still here. We need to make more noise and more change. I will be there tomorrow. I hope you are too.
My name is Martin Clark, and I live on Sunset Cliffs. And I've lived there since 2018. And I recently had a camera installed in front of my house because I don't think people would believe how many people use that park there to spend the night. And it's been really hot, and so they keep their engines running for the air conditioning. And I don't have air conditioning in my house because it was never put in. So you're choking on all that fumes. And I called the police every night for 2 weeks and nothing. Until they said, "We'll call, get it done." Same thing. Get it done, didn't get it done. So I feel like my problems are small compared to some of these things, but I think access to the Sunset Cliffs after dark seems not that big a problem. And the service is needed for that, If people that lived in a neighborhood just had access after the sunset, then we wouldn't have, to have services there all the time with police and fire going up and down there. And I'm really glad that I came here because when you live by yourself, you think, you're the only one with problems. So I really want to support with legal funds. So anyone who will get contact so I can donate to the legal funds, I'm glad to do that. Thank you.
John McMahon, State of Our Access. The Mission Bay restroom issue, and there's no money. Why is there no money? Anybody have an idea? Because they are illegally stealing money from the tidelands. That land, the money that is generated in the tidelands are supposed to stay in the tidelands for trust purposes. And the city on Mr. Che said, we'll take it, put it in Balboa Park. That was 2016. They're also taking TOT tax and putting it in the general fund. So we are being denied the money to keep our bathrooms open for nefarious city purposes. Now let's go down to Midway Rising tomorrow.
Thank you.
Well, sinking and rising because the corruption is rising to unprecedented levels. So you know about the guy who got the project through a straw man. Anybody know who he is? We don't need to know his name. Call him Mr. Scrooge. Because we're doing a Christmas carol. Mr. Scrooge owns 2.7 million acres of private land. He's married to Walmart money. So with all that money, do you know how much money he's given to charity in his life? Little more than zero. And to us it would be $1. He's given $1 million. Mr. Scrooge. All for him, nothing for the public. And the big reason on that, and I'll stop right now, is that you got to remember that we, the people, are giving him $500 million in land and entitlements for free. And we're going to bear the cost of the property tax. Revenue is going to be lost to infrastructure development.
Hi everyone, my name is Cindy Weigel, and I'm from PB La Jolla area, and I'm working with these lovely ladies over here on the Turquoise Tower. And I kind of just want to summarize something. We all gotten the message, but I want to summarize that what it is we have to. Meetings like this are great, and we have to go to them. But when we aren't in meetings, we're working a lot on social media, we're working a lot on putting letters out. We need to amplify each other's messages. I know when Margaret puts something out, I try to put it out. When Pam puts something out, I try to put it out. We need to amplify those voices. It's not just one cause, it's everybody. And also what we're trying to do on ours is we are trying to put a to-do Tuesday Turquoise Tower to do. So something to do, like write a letter to, and we give them a sample letter to write to, this last one was to the state officials. It was to Lake Spear and Boner. And so that I want you to please, when you go back and you're going through your next door, you're going through your Instagram, like, share. We have to get the word out to lots of other people. Thank you.
Man with his own life.
Same stories, different neighborhoods. Same stories, different neighborhoods. ADU, mismanagement, crime, everything that goes along. I went to that meeting down in Mission Valley, just kind of a show and tell, and then they're going to end up doing something, that we don't like. So I'm here from Linda Vista, native San Diegan, grew up in Linda Vista. I lived in the house I grew up in, I bought it back. And it's in the cul-de-sac, and it's over there by Jimmy's restaurant that used to be by 7-Eleven, up USD. And, they crammed a bunch of Hightower, Mike Contreras, I know him, but he put a bunch of units up. He's provided some parking, but at that meeting they addressed the fact that they wanted to do something with our library, add on top of it, put some places up, get rid of Skate World, which happens to be the only really revenue that comes into Linda Vista, besides a few restaurants and all that. So we don't have that kind of vibe that North Park has and all these things, but we're looking for some action there. But what we do in our cul-de-sac, in our neighborhood, we have a pancake breakfast usually annually, And I encourage everybody to get to know your neighbor. Seriously, get to know your neighbor. There's nothing wrong with that, because that's how these things collect themselves, And I'm glad to be here. I'm glad you put this together so I can take this back to our people, and some of our people show up here. And the best thing that happen is to be unified, to be direct, be compassionate, be friendly, love one another, and get the job done, and show up when you can. Thank you.
Hi, my name is John Zeeparth. I'm from the Peninsula area here. I'm an architect. I made all my money from developers. Okay. I also spent 28 years helping to write the zoning code for the city of San Diego, and over the last 10 years, they've stopped listening to anything, any of the input, and that was volunteering hours. And that's one of the frustration things. One of the major problems we're facing is the complete community's housing solution. It was pushed through during COVID when nobody was able to speak out about it or not. And what that did is it eliminated environmental review. It made everything ministerial. And basically it said that you can ignore the general plan, the community plan, the zoning ordinance, as long as you provide affordable housing in a transit area. And that is the major way most of these buildings are being built. They're not being built by the rezoning that's occurring with all of our community plans. Okay, I've been involved in 8 community plans, the general plan, and everything is being ignored now. The one comment I want to quickly make is the state. The state is mandating a lot of what the city is reacting to. Now, the city always wants to one-up it, and that's what they did with ADU. I fought against some of the increases for the ADU when I was helping to write the zoning code. I fought against no parking. Did you know that there was a study for affordable housing that was done by the city that actually required parking for affordable housing because it was needed? So why now do we have no parking? They said, well, trust the developers. Well, I work for developers, and there are good developers out there, but there are a lot of shady developers. There are a lot of developers that don't know what they're doing, and they're going to shoot themselves in the foot by that. By that time, it's too late for us. Okay? So we need to listen. The community planning groups. I went to community planning groups, and I benefited from the input that I got from the community planning groups to make my projects better. I know exactly what they're doing. I know how they're trying, they just don't want to listen. And that's where you need to use your voice. And I commend creating a coalition. It's the only way this is going to happen.
Thank you, sir.
Hi, my name is Preston Dill. I'm a 4th generation San Diegan. Margaret invited me here, and I think it's unbelievable. I just want to come up and say that it's really great. It's really good. It's really great that everybody is here today, and that we're trying to figure out solutions. Because in my 36 years, I've seen it happen in real time. The city has declined. Our neighborhoods have declined. Our community has declined. This gentleman earlier was talking about speak to your neighbor. People don't do that anymore. People don't communicate with each other. And so I think it's really wonderful. And I also want to applaud Raul for being here. I think that's a really good thing because he's one of the few city council members that's actually here. He's the only one that's here that's actually listening, and that's a big deal. And I just want to keep it really brief. When the Roman Empire was falling, the average Roman citizen had no idea. But what they would see is they would see that a road wasn't paved, that there was trash starting to line up. It happened in small increments. And that's kind of what's happening with San Diego right now. And this is the greatest city. This is America's finest city. And it's really awesome to see everyone here because I think that with all of us united, we can make it a great city again. So.
Thank you, Preston.
I just have 2 questions. One, I think, was someone talking when you were talking about the water? What's happening with Friars Road with it being closed? Is that connected to that? I mean, why is Friars Road? Yeah. So do you know what's happening with? Okay.
When's it gonna be gone?
Yes. The Pure Water Project, which is a $1 billion water reclamation project, is running major pipelines through Mission Valley, and along Friars Road is a pump station that's not only pumping the water for the project, but taking pressure off older infrastructure. So they've located a lot of infrastructure in that area around Friars Road, and because they didn't measure the groundwater, they're delayed. They're closing off Friars Road for all these years, and they're really struggling to keep up with, again, a change in the water table that is impacting the infrastructure for water, sewage, and the pure water reclamation. So that's the short answer. Okay, my second question is I live right beside the mosque in Claremont, and if anybody knows the intersection of Balboa, right off the mosque, I suppose that's Caltrans, and maybe that speaks to the state problem, but they have been landscaping that for like 3 or 4 years. What are they doing? I mean, and I thought, are they just going to remove all the eucalyptus trees in San Diego or something? Do they have money for that? You know? Yeah, I know, but it's like, why are they spending so much labor and money with that? They just, okay.
So, ma'am, who's the question directed to?
Anybody who knows. Nobody knows. Okay. And then my last comment is just, I was going through my father's files, and he had things that were from urban renewal, like probably the 1930s to 50s, and the conclusion of the studies was that you couldn't trust developers to build public housing because there was a conflict of interest. I mean, they found that out. They found that out.
Thank you. Hey, before everyone leaves, if you want to get a sign built for tomorrow, if you're going to come join us at the north entrance of the sports arena tomorrow at 10 a.m. is when it's supposed to be there. We'll be there before 9:30. Go build a sign, get it done, and we're like on our last legs here because we're about 15 minutes past our time.
All right, we got a couple more.
Okay, we'll have a couple more questions and then we'll call it a wrap.
Yes.
Okay?
Hi, my name is Shannon Greenlee, and I'm a third-generation San Diegan, and I've lived in Point Loma all my life. I live in a 1913 prairie-style house. Thank you, everyone, for coming. It's really important to me to keep our history and our culture and our wonderful neighborhoods safe and in place, not knock them down and put up high-rises. Yeah, and so thank you. Oh, also, I'm a daughter of a fisherman. Yay!
Yeah, go fishermen.
And we have a lot of history here in San Diego.
John Clifford from Loma Portal. I know we have people from all over San Diego here, but for those of you who aren't familiar with the peninsula, there's like 3 ways on and off it. All right, you got Rosecrans Quarter, you got Nimitz Quarter, you got kind of Arnett. I don't know if our city council member is still here, but I'd love for the mayor and city council to come with me on a van and start down near Kellogg Beach on a Friday afternoon and try to drive down Rosecrans. Because it is a freaking parking lot, okay? And that's before you build the Midway sinking. That's before Navwar goes in. And then the other corridors off there are a nightmare also. It took me almost 30 minutes to go 3 blocks on Barnett yesterday at 4:30 in the afternoon. All right? Put Navwar on the end of that, okay? I'm a physician, so if you have a person who's having a heart attack in La Playa on a Friday afternoon, write them off, because the impact of the bottleneck of Midway Rising at the base of a peninsula where you have no other ways off is catastrophic. So, and you don't hear people talking about that. You don't hear the mayor or city council talking about the impact of the traffic and the lack of infrastructure for this project, and it's a criminal neglect.
One quick announcement. Susie Mark.
Parker wanted me to talk about my favorite boyfriend, sorry honey, the developers who are behind most of the 10, 12, 18 in the backyard. If you're all interested in gossip, I do it about the lawsuits against these guys. If you see, they're being sued. Yes. They have 6 lawsuits against them. You want to raise your hand? Okay, Martin Eder is one. one who is taken advantage of by these people. He has a disabled son. He's 78 years old, and they tried to take his life savings. If you'd like to hear more about this stuff, I put it up on my email group again, adubonus.org. Join in. You will hear about all the lawsuits that are going on.
Thank you, Pam. You need the mic. Really quick, Trudy has one last thing.
I have a website, wearesandiego.org, and my card's on the table over there. So I only have about, I have like 7-8 subjects. You can just see what they are and read what you want. And that's just sort of like I compile certain things and get more information.
Say the website again, Sharon.
wearesandiego.org. And it's on the little business cards.
Thank you for everybody coming.
All right, I want to thank everyone, but again, tomorrow's a big deal at that Midway. Let's not be silent. Let's show up together. We have t-shirts. If you want to wear a t-shirt and be part of our gang tomorrow, we have them in the back there. T-shirts, we've got all the information on our website. Let's meet tomorrow, and then we're going to outline the next steps on our website of the rest of the fights that we need to tackle together. So thank you, everyone. God bless, and see you all tomorrow.
I'm going to finish with my easier.
That's my appreciate it. Like bring the group out a little bit. Oh yeah. Let's check it out. Yeah, that's what
All right, hey you guys, Autumn Morgan, Eye of the Storm. That was very interesting. I love seeing the community come together. It's very important. This is how we bring about change. It's not, expecting a public official to actually do it, but as a community, we get together and make the changes that need to be made. And so we need to be the change that we want to see in that. And I feel like that is exactly what I was witnessing today. And tomorrow there will be the Midway Rising or Sinking, depending on who you're talking to, where Keila Weber Pearson or whatever will be speaking to, I'm not sure who, I guess the developers or something, and they've not been in communication with the community like they should, so that will be very interesting. I will bring that to you guys live in the morning, and see how that goes and talk to other community members there. So love hearing about all of the different just distrust. I mean, I wish it wasn't like that, but it's nice to know that they are seeing things for what they are. They understand that there's gross mismanagement, and I would say, it's willful. They're just racketeering basically, and it isn't. I would say there's no housing issue. It's an affordability crisis because there's plenty of housing. It's just nobody can afford to get into it, and everything that they talk about with the parking, they don't want us in our cars. So that's going to be a pretty big hurdle to get over when there's two different agendas taking place at the same time. So join me tomorrow morning. I will be down at Midway Sinking at the Pechanga entrance or north entrance down at the sports arena. So stay tuned, stay classy, San Diego. It's never a dull moment. Let's keep joining together and be the change that we want to see. God bless you guys. Have a happy rest of your Sabbath.